time to say goodbye.
You put a lot on that, and now I'm going to say my number 5 is
Garfield.
I'm saying I was bowled over by things. But I was bowled over again.
Can't believe they did this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I am Kris.
And I'm Alex.
But it's the BFI episode today, Alex. The final BFI episode to end all BFIs for the foreseeable, at least like decade anyway, until they do another one of these.
Absolutely. We're going to tie a nice, neat little bow on this series that has been spanning 3 years, according to my calculations.
A marginal percentage of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think has really shaped a cinematic era of my life, if I do say so myself.
You've been changed for the better.
I think I have. I think I have actually been changed by the better, for the better by this series. I think I've seen some films I've always on my mind known I should have been watching, but just needed somebody to kind of force me to do it, and that's been one of the best kind of elements of doing this series with you and figuring that out. And I found a lot of new kind of films, filmmakers, genres, corners of the cinematic landscape that I really want to dive further into because of this. So it's been great.
I'd like to give our listeners an insight into the pre-production side of the podcast, which is, of course, you must be thinking when you listen to the show, oh my God, these guys, the knowledge that they have, it's unparalleled. Or you might be thinking that they're pulling it out of their asses, which is probably the more likely of the two. Here's we haven't really, you've been away for work during the last week, so we haven't really caught up about this episode. So here's an insight into the pre-production via the messages that Alex and I have sent each other. So Alex said, "Hey man, missed you this week. What time do you want to record tomorrow?" And I said, "Midday as always." And then he said, "Yeah, let's do it. Like at 1 p.m. midday." I then said, "Yum." And then Alex said, "Yum, yum, yum." And then finally I said, "Tom Yum." So there you go. That is the pre-podcast meeting for the capping of this epic series.
And I was going to reply further again on that, because as soon as you said Tom Yum, but you added another message that it would feel weird if I then responded. I was going to send a GIF.
I ended the bit. Yeah.
I was going to send a GIF of Adam Driver saying "good soup."
Oh, that's good.
Because it is a good soup.
I like a Tom Yum. Yeah.
I love a Tom Yum. Yeah. I did a rewatch of Girls recently, and I forgot that's where the good soup audio came from. Yeah.
I get that, because it feels like 10 different movies or shows that Adam Driver's in where he would say that. Yeah.
And it's a moment in the show where I'm an emotional wreck as well. Like proper, yeah.
Oh, it is like a cathartic little a comedic moment. I haven't seen the show. I know you keep going on that I should do it, and I told you to watch Twin Peaks, and you're doing that pretty thoroughly right now.
Peaks, yeah. Which is in the top 250.
What is?
Twin Peaks is in the top
like the pilot?
The show, in the same way that Histoire du Cinema was kind of in here.
Shit, like the whole collection, because I know on Letterboxd people usually review the first episode as if it's a film. But
interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I don't know. This is on a tangent already, but I don't know if I would be like, oh, most amazing thing I've ever seen if I only reviewed the first episode.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not pulling that thread.
Fire Walk with Me is on there as well. But yeah, I gotta finish season 2 before I can catch up with that. But I've heard Fire Walk with Me is.
Do you think you'll finish season 2 by Christmas? Like when I come over to see you guys in the New Year's?
I would say probably not at this right now.
Yeah, it would have been a good. It would have been cool to watch Fire Walk with Me
Isn't it
together.
really depressing?
It's really fucking dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right film to watch over New
Yeah,
Year, Chris.
it is sad. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Yeah, no, I try to fit an episode in every now and then. It depends what kind of mood I'm in the evening as I'm winding down for bed, whether I'm gonna chuck an episode of Twin Peaks on the projector,
Yeah.
or I've just started reading Wuthering Heights.
Oh, right, in anticipation, of course.
I wanted, yeah, because the discourse has already been like all about adaptation and stuff like that, and I just wanted to bring some kind of something to that.
Yeah. It's nice to
When
bring
I
something to.
imagine we'll discuss it in February or not long after that. So it's I thought anyway we're going way off. We're going way off. Yeah, this week's episode. After 3 years of watching multiple blind spots, we want to bring you our top 10 from the blind spot series. So if we were to make a top 10 from the greatest films of all time list, all of the films, including the films that we've seen before, we'd probably be talking about films that we haven't discussed on this series. So
Sure.
we kind of wanted to make it more of a series finale and just talk about those blind spots. So these are all films we've watched for the first time over the last 3 years, and bring you our personal top tens. But yeah, you're right. In 2032, when they do this list again, who knows? Will the podcast still be a thing? It'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be cool if it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, like cerebral palsy and shaking and stuff, yeah.
How old do you think we're gonna be?
Life has been harsh to me.
So yeah, but I imagine potentially like you'll get like a few. I imagine the series wouldn't need to span 3 years, right? The list doesn't change dramatically.
No, there'll be less blind spots for sure.
I hope so. I feel like I'm a full cinephile now.
Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, like, it's a good care package. Like, it's a
Yeah.
good starter pack for
Ah.
somebody who has like years of experience watching films, but like has so many blind spots. I think we're that kind of film fan, and I think it's like been perfect for us. And it's been a launch pad for so many cool filmmakers and different types of cinema. Um, yeah, like, how are we gonna do this? Like, what was your criteria for getting your, like, top 10 down to the last one? Like, for me, I kind of thought of it as films that kind of, like, certain scenes that really kinda stuck with me the last 2 years. Like,
Okay.
I would probably say in all the films I've mentioned today, like, I have at least a scene where I think of kind of semi-regularly.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
and I think you have to speak to that gut feeling of something that kind of, sticks with you, and, like, when you're in the shower, like, rubbing your pits, you kind of, like, you think of a scene, and then it happens to me with a lot of these movies, so that's
Mm.
gotta count for something, right?
Yeah, 100%. I very much agree with you here actually, in terms of that. Obviously, if I was to be like very kind of logical about how I went about this list, I kind of went to Letterboxd, find everything that I tagged Sight and Sound and see
Yeah.
where I rated it and stuff like that. And then all my 5 stars and my 4.5 stars and my 4 stars, I kind of looked at them again and thought, do I still feel this way about these films? And then if so, how do I kind of compile them into a list? So that's how I kind of went about it. But you're right. I'm looking at my list right now, and yeah, there are some pretty kind of vivid imageries and even just kind of like feelings,
Yeah.
and kind of remembering the time and space of watching them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to sort of, like, let them marinate, like, quite a
Mm,
bit, because, to be honest, there's some films on this list where I'm like, I barely kind of remember watching that, you know? Like, there's some of
mm,
them that just haven't had the lasting staying power,
yeah.
and, somebody else would be able to tell you or me that, "Oh, well, from an educational point of view, this film is better than the film that you picked," and,
Hmm.
no, I tried not to bring that pretense to this,
Hmm.
just emotionally, like, I think that's what film is to me, is to react emotionally to what stays with me and hits home for me, and, you seem to be coming from the same place, so that's awesome. I think it's gonna be a super honest look at this list, not informed by each other or other people, just what spoke to us, so I'm really excited to see what speaks to you, Alex, to be honest.
100%, 100%. And we did have slightly different blind spots along the way as well. There were
Yeah.
some films that I'd seen that you hadn't, and vice versa. So I know for sure some of the films on my list you wouldn't even be able to list because
Ooh,
it
I'm
was not
interested.
technically a blind spot for you. So
Oh, wow. And you're so right by saying that, like, right, just letting everybody know that we're not discussing every film we've ever seen on here. It's only the ones we haven't seen. So,
yeah,
like, if you're wondering why for me, like, Singing in the Rain's not here, or like, for somebody else would be Blade Runner or whatever, it's because we've seen them before.
yeah.
So yeah, just
Or
the blind
like,
spots.
there's a bunch of films on that list. Like Goodfellas would be on
Oh, I mean,
here.
like, goodness sake,
Portrait
yeah.
of a Lady on Fire would be on here. In fact, like I looking at some of these films, there's only a few that would actually probably 100% make my top 10.
Agreed. Agreed.
So yeah. But
But
even though
but we're
I
still
love all these
passionate.
films,
Yeah.
I love all these films I'm about to talk about, which just shows you how strong the list is. And you're right, it's a great starter pack for somebody who is like, I'm enjoying films. I believe I'm a fan of film, but now I want to go further into it and almost give myself an education. This is a good list as a kind of starting point to jump off of that. Because there's a lot of films here which I'm looking at and I'm going, I love this film and I want to explore this
Yeah.
filmmaker or filmmakers more because of watching this thing. So, and some of them have been actively putting off because I feel like they would make good series in the coming future for the film angle. So
Oh,
some of
wow.
them are like, I think I should wait until we do this.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, Alex, should we just go straight into the BFI list, our top 10 movies
Yeah,
of this epic 3-year journey? What are the 10 movies that really stuck with you? Your number 10. Go for it. Shoot from the hip.
absolutely. So my number 10 is a film that we watched quite early on in the series, and it's The Leopard by Luchino Visconti.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Famously one of Martin Scorsese's favorite films.
I can see
So there you
why.
go. So it's an Italian film, but led by the very American Burt Lancaster. One of the
Hmm.
first films with Claudia Cardinale in as well, I believe,
Yeah, from
if I
Once Upon a
remember
Time in the
everything.
West, yeah.
So it's a bit of an epic about the kind of Italian aristocracy of the time and how it was kind of how its image was fading and changing from obviously this kind of very rich aristocracy into something that I guess feels slightly more modern, though this is obviously the 1860s around that time. So as we're kind of moving closer to the 1900s, and it is a bit of an epic, and it is absolutely gorgeous to watch. It is yeah, it is like I think it was like a 3 hour long film. And it's all about mainly kind of relationships and drama and this
Mhm.
kind of family that's losing its sense of self within the Italian society, which is interesting because the very start, I feel like the first half an hour of the film has some like pretty big war scenes. So it makes you feel like this is going to be
Yeah.
like a big action adventure. But it's very much not that. After those initial war scenes, it is very much about kind of the inner workings of this family and them trying to grasp onto the kind of little amount of power that they have left. Um, yeah, it looks like a painting. It feels grand in the way that The Godfather feels grand and sweeping, and kind of all these different tangents that it goes on. I remember thinking at the time, I don't know 100% what's going on in every scene,
Yeah, yeah, no,
but
100%.
I was fascinated throughout, and yeah, yeah, this one kind of stayed with me. I think about the imagery from this film quite a lot. Those kind of final ballroom scenes. I think
Yes,
about Burt
yes.
Lancaster and the way he holds himself in those scenes. Yeah, this is one that has truly stuck with me throughout the 3 years because it probably is about 3 years ago that I watched it.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie. Like, you can kind of see the why Scorsese is a big fan of it. Like, I think a lot of have you ever seen Age of Innocence?
Hmm.
His sort of period
Oh
piece.
wait, have I seen Age of It? Oh god, don't turn me into a terrible cinephile. I have some pretty. I love Martin Scorsese, and
He made a
I
lot.
have
He's made a
some.
lot of films.
He's made a lot of films. I have some pretty massive. No, I haven't seen Age of Innocence. I have some pretty big blind spots on my
Yeah,
Martin Scorsese list, which is terrible, and I
it's
want to
same.
sort them out. probably
you're
in the next year.
like, it's fine, man. I'm the same. It's like, I just don't mention them, just not to get called out on it.
Yeah,
Um,
don't call me out again, man.
sorry, I was have you seen that film Age of Innocence? Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No, no,
Um,
yep, I've seen it. Very good. Yes, carry on.
yeah, well, like, anyway, pushing forward, there is, like, you can see a lot of that visual sumptuousness kind of, like, brought over from The Leopard, a lot of that sort of influence on that movie, but you're right, like, when I think of that film too, I think of those ballroom scenes at the end too.
Mm,
These very grand, very
mm,
well realized. You know, when you get in a lot of period dramas, you get really well realized sort of aristocracy, and you get all the costumes and the grandiosity. But I feel in the Leopard, I feel like I'm actually getting transported into time, into like there's hundreds of people in these rooms, and it's not just that the film is visually interesting, everybody in the film is interesting too. Like,
mm,
it's full of these really grey characters, a lot of different power dynamics that, like, you're
mm.
right. There's a lot of context with the civil war going on that time, and the transition of a country that we're pretty uneducated about. But it's a power to the films. It's credit to the film's power that that it manages to be so interesting and really, like, lets you understand, at least at an emotional core, what the film is trying to get at, even though you know very little about it.
Yeah.
And you're right, and it's very disarming having Burt Lancaster in here, still doing an awesome job, being a really great character, and just following the journey of everybody and seeing where it ends out. And it's very melancholy, and
Mm,
but in a way that's not down in the dumps. It's very entertaining, and it just missed my list because it was kind of creeping into there. But
mm.
no, it's a really great pick, and it made a really strong first impression, being one of the first movies that we talked about
Yes.
on the series. So really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's your number 10 then, Chris?
Okay, let's get the artsy fartsy film watcher out of the way here.
Wait, the rest are not artsy fartsy after this?
I went for all the experimental non-dialogue movies for all of my 10 picks. No, first one I went for, Alex, was, I think you're going to be a little bit surprised by this. It's a very, very short film.
Oh.
Um, and it's probably the only one that is a short film that's going to stay on the list. And it's Meshes of the Afternoon.
I do remember you being quite taken by this.
This was a film that, credit to its length, but I managed to watch it about 6 times. And I find every time I watched it was more rewarding and more rewarding. And yeah, it was a film by Maya Deren and her husband Alexander Hamid, who and Maya Deren stars in it as well. And it's this fascinating experimental time loop of a film about a woman who goes into her house and is experiencing delusional, you know, cycle of events where she can't leave her home. The rooms are turning upside down. There's a mysterious figure with a mirror as a face. It gets borderline violent, and for the person in me that's a big Lynch fan, I can see
Mm,
this as a prototype to Hollywood Lynch, and it's set in LA, and it has a bit of that sort of like early new cinema LA sort of spirit to it. And it's just sort of fascinating to watch. The music's really cool with a lack of music, and the performance. Maya Deren as a screen presence, as not being formidably foremost an actor and more of an artist. She's cool. She's really cool. This is a movie which is just a mess of hair and items and disorientation, and fuck, I really like it, and I will definitely watch it more in the future. Yeah.
yeah. Were you watching Twin Peaks at the time when you saw this film?
No, I just have that sort of, like, I really enjoy that sensibility.
Mm.
Um,
'Cause I was gonna say I had not even started Twin Peaks when, we watched that film, and now that I'm thinking back to that film, I'm thinking, yeah, that was I can see
mm.
Lynch, taking elements of that and bringing it into, a lot of the things I'm now watching.
It's like making the most comforting place in your life, what's supposed to be the most comforting place in your life, your home, and turning it into a nightmarish landscape. And
Mm,
that's really cool. I really like stories that I walk down the street when I'm walking. I don't know when you're walking your dog. Do you like walk down the street and you look past someone's back door and you're like, I wonder what's going on behind there?
Oh,
And
100%. Especially if they have the windows open and the lights on, and you can just, like, see a little bit of what's going on inside. I'm like, "Ooh, what's
yeah,
happening?"
yeah, 100%.
I don't know if that makes me nosy. Maybe that makes me nosy.
Yeah, well, this is a thing we talk about a lot. If someone's windows are open and you can see in their house and they're on the main road, it's like it's hard not to look. It's
Mm.
just like you're kind of inviting it. But no,
I'm not waiting there. I'm not
no, you're not
watching and
like in the
waiting.
bush.
No, no, I'm walking the dog. We're walking fast-ish.
Yeah, the dog goes for a pee and you got nowhere else to look but watching like
Yeah.
Steve Mulhern on their TV or whatever. But no, it's a fascinating film that's ambiguous in a way that's not pretentious, but in a way that's actually interesting, playing with form, and you can see it in filmmakers like Lynch. So yeah, really, really like this movie.
Yeah, but yeah. Shall we move on to number 9s?
Yeah, do it. I want to see.
Cool. So number 9 is a very new addition to the list for me, and it is Jean Dielman. I'm not going to do the whole title again.
Oh man, but you learned it. You've spent so much time learning
I
it.
did. I did. Did I write it down somewhere? Ah, should I try it again? So it is Jean Dielman, 24 Quai de Commerce, 18 Braxil.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, we only reviewed this film about 2 weeks ago, but I think you and I both had quite a big reaction to it, and I was kind of discussing with work colleagues this film and kind of letting them know some of the bizarre things we watch, and just kind of made me realize how much this film had an impact on how I even see films going forward now, and,
Mm,
and how they don't have to be purely just kind of, even though I guess in a way I never like truly thought this anyway, but like this idea that they must entertain at all times, but it just kind of made me see film as a medium to transfer so much in terms of kind of the human story, a human emotion, and just the way we look at things. And here it feels like a film that's very much about women, about I guess women in the 1970s who are mainly housewives, and the kind of influence of men on their lives. And I appreciate it's not just that, and that's why I find it so interesting as well, because it is a film about time, it's a film about boredom, it's a film about control and routine. There's just so much going on. Obviously, you can go back to our episode from a couple of weeks ago to get a truly in-depth
yeah, of
idea as
course.
to why you and I were so taken by this film. But yeah, it's a new addition to the newest, most recent addition to the list, and I think it deserves a place on here. Just absolutely fascinated by it, and I think Chantal Ackerman is a fantastic filmmaker. And there were two films of hers that we saw for this series, and I love um, News from Home, though it didn't make it onto the top 10, so spoilers for the next 8 films. But yeah, but it was also fantastic, and it makes me want to seek out more Chantal Ackerman. So there you
Wow.
go. That's my number 9.
I'm actually really happy to see this film on one of our lists. It didn't make my list. But it was this is probably number 11, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We were both really taken by it, probably on a very equal level. But yeah, like for all the reasons you just said, I think we won't delve too much into it because we talked about it very recently, but it's a stunning film and definitely uprooted what we thought the film was going to be, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and it's humbling and staggering at the same time, and like has an ending that fucking comes out of nowhere, and it's sad. It's a sad movie, but it's also just like a really fascinating, like the most texturally rich film on this list for
Mm,
like how little really goes on from a narrative, like a outset point of view. Like there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's amazing, and like crazy that it came out when it did, and made by a 25-year-old as well. 25-year-old
yeah.
Ackerman is fascinating. This is a good segue, a really really well timed segue, because
Oh, go on.
I do have at my number 9 the other Ackerman film, and it is
Ah.
and it is News from Home, and
Oh.
I think it was really struggle for me to kind of really parse which of the two films of hers to put on here, because
Mhm.
I think on a fundamental and an educational level, I do think Jean Dielman is the masterpiece of the two.
Yeah.
But News from Home really hit me emotionally and resonated with I really resonated with the themes of of leaving a certain home and coming somewhere else and trying to transform and also still keep your ties from home and keep them
Mhm.
relevant, and also just the keen eye that Ackerman has for New York City, I think
Yeah.
is kind of it's New York in a way I haven't seen before, and I've seen we've seen New York so many times. It's probably the most
Yeah.
common location in any film that we've seen. And
It's why I went on holiday there earlier in the year. It's because I was desperate to see it for myself,
oh wow,
if in real life.
yeah, and I feel that Ackerman like captures streets and real time people just walking around kind of navigating their day through subways or laundromats or
Mm,
just going down a street that I haven't seen in a film before, and just
mhm.
long takes of looking at I don't know, looking at the World Trade Center or looking at the Chrysler building, but like we're also navigating the working class areas of the city too. But it's the emotional core. It's the relationship with her mother, which has been a big part of Ackerman's career all the way up to her last film, and it feels so emotionally true. Reading the real life letters of her mother, um, and making a film out of it, and how these letters kind of fade into the background as the film progresses,
Yeah.
and the struggle to keep that relationship going, and also an insight into who she is and who your mother is. It's fascinating. It's so deeply personal. Um, and it really hit a chord with me. I had to include it on here. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. There is a specific memory of watching this film for me, where it's because I don't believe you see Chantal Akerman at all in the
No.
film, right? So my specific memory is almost getting to understand the person behind the camera, and
Mhm.
how that was quite a powerful moment, because you know that these letters are being directed to the person who is directly behind the camera at that moment in time, and seeing essentially through her eyes whilst these things play out, and all the choices that are made as to why we're seeing certain things at certain moments. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Mm.
It was a poetic film in a way.
Yeah,
That
and
it struck a chord with me. Its lack of place on this list is not to disregard the film. There are so many good films we watched on this list. I think the majority of them I liked, and I guess in a way you'd hope so.
mm.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
very powerful.
and like, we were talking about scenes that come into our head. The scene that always comes out in my head and that into my head from that film is the subway train quite far into the film as we're starting to get the letters come in less often and more just shots of the city. Um, there's a subway. She's reading one of the letters at one point in her mother's voice. A subway car comes past the camera and it drowns out the reading of the letter,
Mm,
so you can't hear what Ackerman is saying for the rest of that letter, and it's a really great, emotionally fascinating metaphor for how this presence in her life is coming out of the picture.
yeah.
Yeah, fascinating film. Yeah. Go on, Alex. What's your number 8?
So my number 8 is Sunrise: A Song of Two Humans, and I
Mm,
think we've had a bit of a journey with silent cinema on this series, right? I think we both kind of came into this not having seen many silent films. Am I right in
I think
thinking that?
I totally fair.
Yeah, and we've seen 4 or 5 more, and it's completely opened my eyes to the fact that I was maybe sleeping on that period of time in cinema. As somebody who is very kind of like story driven, I almost saw the fact that it had no dialogue. I'm putting that in quotation marks because obviously there are title cards and all kinds of stuff. And this is one of the oldest films on the list, and it is so creative with how it tells this story about this farmer who kind of is having an affair and decides to kill his current wife in order to pursue this affair. But as he takes her out on a boat in the hopes of drowning her, this sounds really dark, and it is. He almost he hesitates and decides not to kill her, but his wife is in the understanding that he has just attempted to murder her. So as they go back to shore, there's this kind of almost it's a bit of a cat and mouse to begin with, as they have to kind of amend their relationship. Which,
Mhm.
yes, it's a fable. In the in the eyes of the real world, you'd be like, "Girl, get out of there, get
Yeah.
out of there,
I
ditch
think
his ass."
it's well framed that way because the setting is very fictional too. Like, the
Yeah.
town that they live in is very set heavy and very Hansel and Gretel, Brothers Grimm orientated, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, but yeah, in terms of like how the camera and the trickery that's played to kind of expand certain scenes and just the way it's used, I was completely in awe. And also, I just think that is a story or an element of a story that I just feel like I hadn't seen before in terms of how do you kind of deal with this.
Mhm.
And although the sense of it and how it plays out would probably seem somewhat dated if this film was to come out today, I just was completely in awe of the filmmaking, the emotion, and how much of a kind of wallop it was packing by the
Mhm.
end. And yeah, I mean, obviously by this point when we got to Sunrise, we'd seen quite a few silent films, so I can't say this is the one that changed my opinion on silent films, but it just added to this growing idea that, like, man, I have been truly sleeping on this period of cinema, and yeah, there's so much for me to explore there that I haven't already. And Sunrise was just, to me, it was a masterpiece,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. So yeah.
It's great. It's such a journey of a film too,
Mm.
and it's like, talk about scenes that you remember. I think that film, I can kind of really storyboard it in my head from start to
Yeah,
finish
yeah,
pretty well. Like, for watching it just the
yeah,
once, it's so well realized, and it escalates and escalates, emotionally and on a production basis. You're like, Jesus, I
yeah.
can't believe that they're doing operating on this scale. Yeah,
And the title cards play a part in that as well. They're quite artistic in the way they have like an underwater
yes.
title card at one point. Like it's very artistic and
Yeah, isn't
cool.
it like
That
a point where is he trying to drown her? And, and then and then the title card actually, like, drips like water, and it kinda,
mm,
yeah, it evokes drowning. It's really, really, really cool stuff.
very cool. And even like the smaller moments when they're on the tram as she's trying to escape him, and obviously he's not trying to create a scene on the tram as they're heading to the city, and those kind of as they're looking towards each other, like you're just trying to figure out what is going through both of their minds, and just like how is there any way back from the situation. Yeah, it's fascinating. Really, really. Yeah, I still think about
Oh, good to see it, good to see it. Number 8 for me, Alex,
it. Hmm.
I had to put, we have to do some documentary representation on here, and for me, it was a no-brainer. I had to put on, Claude Lanzmann's Shoah on here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Guys, it's 9.5 hours long. If you can find the free time, kudos to you, but, I don't think a second of that time will be wasted. It is an absolutely, obviously, a film being kind of known as being the ultimate sort of, ov interview overview of the Holocaust in film form, is an incredible masterpiece that kind of just takes you on a journey from, a 20-30 year journey of interviews Claude
Hmm.
Lanzmann took with, ex SS officers, took footage behind their backs without their permission. Um, of people who lived in Polish villages outside of these, concentration camps, a perspective I've never seen before, and
Hmm.
actual camp survivors themselves, and taking the camera to these actual locations. And, it's so poetic, factual, um, but none of that bullshit, when you usually see these sort of BBC Holocaust documentaries where they're like, they just put a photograph on there and the camera zooms in and somebody's doing a voiceover. No, this is speaking to people who are 30 years removed from the experience, or 20 years removed from the experience, and, and the image of what happened is still so vivid. It's heartbreaking. Obviously it's
Mm,
heartbreaking, but it is required viewing, and, if you can even just watch this, like, 1 hour per night, or, like,
mm,
every other week or something, um, I think it will give you a profound understanding of the human experience or condition of how people are indoctrinated, and not even just from the victim's point of view of how heartbreaking their scenarios are, but also the indoctrination of people who operated the trains. Like we get an interview of the guy who from Berlin sent trains to concentration camps and operated that, and how he emotionally removed himself so that he didn't feel guilt, even to the day of him being interviewed. And it's fascinating. It's incredible. Like I think you feel the same way about Showa that I do. Um, that it was not a wasted second in there.
Absolutely not. And I don't want to say too much because I might have to say something about it later
Mhm.
on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, Alex. I'm not surprised. Okay, should we jump ahead then and go to your, like, number 7, until then?
Absolutely. So my number 7 is the Abbas Kiarostami film Close Up,
Ah.
which, you talk about documentary representation here. This is something that blurs the lines between a fictional film and a documentary because it has elements of both throughout. It even has recreation elements in there where, people involved are playing themselves in this kind of strange story of a man named Hossein Sabzian who impersonated one of his favorite filmmakers, Mohsen Makhmalbaf, another famous Iranian filmmaker at the time. And yeah, basically, he impersonated it for this family and made them feel like they were going to be kind of part of his next film. And there was a little bit of money exchanged as well out of that. Um, in terms of like stakes and consequences, it's quite small time. It's almost like something you'd read in like a footnote of a newspaper. Like the story just it's a little bit bizarre, but it's not this big blown up thing. But Kiarostami clearly saw something in it and brought his cameras, and I think it spoke to me as a film fan. I think you and I both, if I remember our episode correctly, I think you and I both kind of put ourselves in the shoes of Hussein Sabzian and kind of understood his feelings and need for wanting to just kind of like immerse himself in a filmmaker and be like, I wonder what it would be like. And there's obviously a lot of class stuff involved there within the kind of Iranian society. I guess it would have been like in the 1980s slash 1990s.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think as a film fan, it just does something with the form that is so interesting, and I think as well because the film is about filmmaking and fandom and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
as well. I was just completely in awe of this film. I would chuck it on again tomorrow and just kind of sit back and let it wash over me. There's so many beautiful shots in this, and also just kind of like again, it's a very human story
Yeah.
about humans that aren't perfect, but just trying to they're making mistakes, but their reasons for making mistakes just feel out of a place of you know of need and want and circumstance. So yeah, I was a big fan of Close Up. And
Yeah.
if you go back to earlier in the year, it did an Iranian cinema double bill where we paired this with the Seed of a Sacred Fig, and I must say I think that was one of my favorite episodes we did. So
Oh, wow. It's you're right, like, on paper, it's so low stakes, but in real time watching it, it feels, like, incredibly high stakes. And I think it kind of will resonate for anybody who feels, like, any sort of artistic frustration in their life or economic
mm,
frustration in their life that they, what if you're also removed from time. You're talking about the 1980s where and in a country where media isn't available on their phones and they can't just fact check this guy straight away. It's a lot more face value society that they're living in, and there's something childlike about him
mm,
in this yearning to become somebody else. It's yeah, and it's a fascinating quandary about like his deception outweighing intent.
mm,
We are looking at the soul, and it's really quite a humanist film because it's really nice and surprising to see
mm,
how he's actually treated in the film and the open mindedness of like say the jury that are looking at this case, the family itself and how they treat him and how they forgive him at the end of the
yeah.
film.
And I'm happy to replay those,
Yeah,
reenact those
yeah.
moments of which he came into their life.
It's a ridiculous film about like how like so many variables came to be to allow this film to happen. So
Yeah, yeah.
like people actually got together and were like, yeah, like we're over it. We're happy to explore it. And people who live lives that are very separated from cinema and the form and are willing to give themselves to that.
Yeah.
It's I think the time that this came out makes it way more fascinating than if it came out in 2025. Um, yeah, it is an incredible film, Alex, and I kind of feel a little bit ashamed for not putting it on here, but I'm glad it's on here because you make a really really good case. Yeah, it's fascinating and it's singular. It's singular on the BFI list. There's nothing like this, and yeah, well worth a mention. Seven. I know this one's not going to be on your list, Alex, at all, but it's on my list. I do like these sort of talking about fables. I like these old Japanese fable films quite a bit. Kurosawa gets a lot of mention, but I went for one of the guys who I feel in this brand of cinema doesn't get his flowers as much, and we had Sancho the Bailiff from Kenji Mizoguchi, but I went for his other film, Yugetsu. Um, so, of all of the Rashomons and your Japanese folk tales and fables, this one really struck me. This is the tale of two farmers and their wives who embark on this journey after a village sage warns them that if they pursue their pottery business and kind of go after wealth, that there will be punishment along the way. And punishment, oh boy, does it come! With these two men who pursue selfishness and neglect for their family and their wives, and in pursuit of nobility. One of them wants steals the uniform of a samurai,
Mm.
so that he can embed himself and become a fake samurai, so he makes more money. The other one gets seduced by a lady of a castle, and there's ghosts involved too, and it's the strangeness, and to the point that the wives are almost forgotten about. They're neglected, and one of them dies and perishes, and it's really heartbreaking stuff, and an ending scene that is subversive and heartbreaking when he comes home and gives his wife is there waiting for him, and they embrace, they have dinner together, they say goodnight. He wakes up the next morning, the house is not what it looked like the night before, it's actually derelict, and the villagers tell him that his wife has been dead the whole time, and
Mm. It's
this
all
man is.
flooding back to me now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of films are on here, and yeah, I appreciate that there's sometimes like some things stick with you and some don't. But that really stuck with me. And yeah, of all the fables and journeys that we went on in the BFI list, that one really I thought was really cool. Um
Mm.
Feels like you're watching a story that's 1,000 years old, but they managed to have a camera with them at that time, and they kind of took it along with them. Painterly and stripped back, great performances, creepy at times. I loved it. I loved Yugetsu.
Yeah, I'm looking at my letterbox now, and I didn't hate it or anything like that. I gave it 3.5 stars. And what you're telling me, I'm starting to remember some of the imagery now, and I'm just having a look for myself. But yeah, I remember a lot of the ghostly elements of this story. It's got a bit of like a gothic fable like feel to it,
Yeah.
if I remember rightly. But yeah, I guess that's one of those things. We have seen a lot of films on this list, and some of them stick with you more than others. And I guess you get to didn't stick with me as much as the other films on this list. But that being said, you're telling me now why you liked it, why you loved it, and yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I remember this. I remember this. This did work for me. This did work for me. And again, it's just. We saw two Mitsuguchi films on this list, and he's just another filmmaker that, again, we should potentially explore a bit more. But yeah, no, that's a good pick, and thank you for reminding me of the film as well.
That's okay. Thank you. Okay, number six, Alex.
Number six. So I'm sticking with the documentaries for a minute,
Okay.
and I've gone for Agnes Varda's The Gleaners and I,
Hmm.
and
I thought this would
it's
happen.
I just love Agnes Varda,
You just
like
love
all.
potatoes, man.
I do love potatoes, and I again, it's kind of one of those things where she's taken similar to Close Up, where we said like the stakes are not high. This is not a big thing. This is a small thing, and it feels very similar with Agnes Varda here. She's focusing on gleaners, the people who basically are kind of repurposing things that other people have thrown away,
Yeah,
and
it's like an
and how
ancient
that
thing, yeah.
this ancient thing and how that has evolved over time and how it kind of should be celebrated maybe slightly more and how it looks and how they've been cast off. It goes through many different tangents, including like a piece of artwork at one point as well, that's kind of sitting away, which Varda would like. I believe it's like a museum or something that like to take out of their kind of basement and like
Mm.
use it again. There's so much going on in terms of where this documentary kind of goes and the stories and vignettes that she puts her camera on, and I just kind of love that. Like I think she, in the kind of same way that I really connect to like Chloe Zhao films these days.
Yeah.
I feel like in the same way Varda here, she was the humanist director of her time and really just had an eye for humanity
Yeah.
and finding beauty in the really really kind of small things and small moments. And I remember just like putting this on one night, and it's not particularly long. It's like just under an hour and a half, and so like the stakes are low when it's a film that short. You're just kind of like, all right, we'll see how this goes. I've seen a few Agnes Varda films before, and I've enjoyed them.
Mm.
And just kind of being like really taken aback by this documentary and just how much it made me feel about something that I had like little to no kind of awareness or even a thought on prior to this documentary.
Well, that's it.
So yeah, really, really loved this one. It had quite a profound impact on me for sure.
Oh, wow, you talked a really good game there, because like, I think it's fair to say, did both of us not even know what the term gleaners was before
Hundred
watching this
percent,
film? 100% not, and I'm really glad I
100%
do
did
know
not
it, because
know. Yeah, yeah.
it's fascinating, and it really resonates in today's society, a very wasteful society, and just to
Mm,
see something very, like, pure and, um, sort of something that feels like we've lost the knack for or the permission for, like, it feels but it feels like the right thing to do, and,
mm,
what I really like, I think your comparison to Zhao is like perfect, because I think Varda, there's nothing pervasive about her filmmaking. Like, she is just knows how to talk to people in every single level. Like, the camera is almost just like happens to be there. She just pops
mm.
into somebody's caravan. He's a gleaner, and just like, I just want to chat to you. I just want to see what your deal is, and like I love to explore you and celebrate you. Um, and that always comes through completely, like, such a pure filmmaker right there, somebody who
Yeah,
is not has no ulterior motive of other than to tell an impactful story about a mini society that people like ourselves up until watching the film did not even know existed.
100%.
So yeah, really cool. Educational to the point that like but not to the point that it's eating your vegetables. It was like educational in the way where like, wow, I feel better for knowing this. So that's really
Yeah,
cool. That's a cool pick.
absolutely. Thank
Number
you.
6, I think you'll think that this one for me would have been higher. But there's just other films on here that were just amazing to me. This one included. It is David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, which was my first time watching
Mm.
it. And I think this will go higher in future. It's because I've only seen it once.
Well, you
Um,
you can see it again, Chris.
I know, I'm so lucky.
I bought you the Blu-ray.
I know. I can see it over there right now. I honestly, I'm so glad to own it. It's a 4K restoration, so I can't wait to watch that one day. And I imagine it's because it is such a dense film. Like, it is
Ugh.
the first time you're watching this film that you're so busy taking it in, unpacking it, um, that and it's still amazing that you still get that overwhelming emotion that I love this film, which I do.
Mm.
So it's only going to go up for me. And it was fascinating talking to you afterwards about our different takes on it, which are exhaustive. Everybody has a take on this
Yeah,
film that
yeah, yeah.
spans 20 years. No, but in terms of that full Lynch package of mystery, fascinating, bizarre characters, um, and like very ingenious casting, like casting that no other director would do, and creating sort of just like really iconic moments and that sort of sexy, luring Americana style that he is known for. it is the ultimate Lynch package, and goes in directions. If you're watching it for the first time, it's just a real treat because you're just constantly having what the fuck moments. Great film to experience with somebody else, with you too. Um, yeah, I don't want to go too deep into Mulholland Drive because you're just enlisting scenes that you like from the Italian filmmaker who spits out the espresso that is beneath him, to the bizarre ghostly cowboy that meets you in the middle of the night and warns you to beware of the buggy. It's amazing, and Naomi Watts is incredible too, and it's so cool
Mm.
to go back and watch that film and remind myself, oh my god, she like is amazing still, but like I feel like people don't talk about Naomi Watts enough. She's incredible. Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. And again, it's kind of one of those things. Now that I am watching Twin Peaks, Twin Peaks is getting a big shout out in this episode. Funnily enough, but it's a big thing, isn't it? Now that I'm watching Twin Peaks and I'm on the second series, and I feel like I am starting to understand the full package of Lynch a little bit more.
That it's
And I
not just
think
random shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really starting to understand his sensibilities and what he's interested in, and I do have a few blind spots still in the Lynch kind of filmography, and obviously his passing at the start of the year has had like a pretty big effect on people wanting to kind of return to his stuff. So I think after Twin Peaks, I think I'm gonna rewatch Mulholland Drive once more and just see how it now kind of sits in because I'm trying to. I think Blue Velvet might have been my first Lynch film, and
Mhm.
then Mulholland Drive
Blue
later on. So,
Velvet I think is a really good. Although I think a lot of nasty stuff happens in Blue Velvet, and it's a
mm,
really interesting gauge of like how far you as a film watcher are like able to go with a director.
mm,
It's definitely like his most simple vision of like
yeah.
exploring dreams and you know
Still, I've only seen it the once, but that still remains my favorite of his
yeah, because
so far.
it's a film about Kyle MacLachlan being a really weird voyeur, and then that's just the launch pad for this world of sinister nastiness and odd things happening. And yeah, you feel like a fly on the wall, and you feel like you need to look over your shoulder every 2 minutes when you watch that film. Super exciting, and it's so like Americana stylishness, music. The utilization of the song Blue Velvet, Isabella Rossellini, a Hollywood sort of like offspring of like of the one of the golden age's finest actors. It's the full package, right?
Yeah, sounds like Blue Velvet should be your number six.
Well, it's on the top 100, but we've both seen it before.
We've both seen it before, yeah. But yeah, Mulholland Drive. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Still don't think I'm as swept away by it as you were, despite watching it a couple times now. But I think even maybe you and I sitting down and watching it together at some point could be an interesting watch as well. So
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Good shot.
Just since we're halfway through the list, shall we just recap our 10 to 6 and then move on to number 5?
Good idea. Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So my number 10 was The Leopard. My number 9 was Jean Dielman. My number 8 was Sunrise, a song of two
Tale of
humans.
Two Kitties. Yeah.
Yep. My number 7 was Close Up, and my number 6 was The Gleaners and I.
And my number 10 was Meshes of the Afternoon. My number 9 was News from Home. Number 8 was Showa. Number 7 was Yugetsu. And number 6, Mulholland Drive.
Into our top 5 then.
This is where it gets interesting. This is where I'm like, I can see into the soul of Alex, and like, this is who he is. This is like what speaks to you. So cool.
Oh no, don't say that. And now I'm
I
about.
already know what speaks to you, but it's just like, okay, just everybody else gets to know the beautiful
Yeah, but
soul that I know.
you put a lot on that, and now I'm going to say my number 5 is
Garfield.
Shower, the 9.5 hour documentary about the Holocaust.
Okay.
So yes, you've already said a lot as to why this film is as powerful as it is, and it's difficult not to include it in here because it's a film that you can't even criticize. It is just a documentation, a very large documentation of kind of the Holocaust in the 1940s, and it is really interesting because it features, as you mentioned, no archival footage. It is all just stories from people who are, like you said, not that far removed from it. Um, and I think, if anything, like, we've grown up learning about World War II, learning about the Holocaust. I've lived in Germany where I've seen, a lot of the kind of history there as well. And but like, it's this massive, horrific, truly evil thing that happened. And it happened not that long ago, but you almost feel somewhat adjacent to it. Like, it just doesn't compute sometimes in your head. And I think this was the first time that, like, some of the horrors of it, like, just truly hit home for me. And I think it helps that you are actively having these accounts spoken with images of what, at the time would have been the current landscape of what these places looked like.
Yeah.
And then also something which I'm not sure I've had much interaction with, but like actual audible accounts from Nazis, in a way that's just like you are confronted with the evil and this idea of like the logic of the evil trying
Mm.
to kind of come through in this really kind of chilling and awful way. And it's difficult not just to just not sit there and be affected by it. And yeah, it's difficult to talk about. It's just, like you say, it's essential viewing. It's difficult not to put it on the list because it's uncriticizable in a way, isn't it?
But and that's the thing, and I wanna, like, I'm sure you completely agree, and it's not on the list because an obligation and you can't
Mm,
criticize it. It is just really goddamn well made and it flows really lyrically and beautifully as well, and, edited to perfection in terms of like the flows of where we go in this journey, and to the point where like you're hearing 20-minute um conversations or one-sided anecdotes about people's experiences, and you're like, when they end, I was like, I want to learn more, and like I
mm,
actually went because most of the footage, it's 9.5 hours. Most of the footage is actually not in the film. There's loads more archival footage. If you go to
mhm,
the Landsman's Showa website, you can watch extended versions of these interviews, and I did. I went back and I watched some of these interviews further, and there's so much more to explore, and yeah, the vividness of it is incredible, and it's kind of like equal to that experience of watching Schindler's List, where it's the overwhelming emotion of it, but you're seeing
mm,
it elongated and more realistically, obviously, and in a
mhm.
non-Hollywood way portrayed, and I think it's essential viewing, and I'm a bit upset that, like, it's kept at arm's length from people. Like,
Mm,
I've talked about it to people at work, or if the conversation has arise, or family members, and no one's ever heard of it. I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
if you're interested, or if you wanna learn more, it's the ultimate, visual document for it." Yeah.
It should be repackaged every year as kind of an episodic kind of TV documentary. Like, it feels like an artifact, if anything more so than a film. An artifact of, like, we cannot, forget what has happened.
Well said.
So yeah, very powerful.
Nice. Okay, my number five. We are going to the Great British Isles, Alex. And we are visiting Powell and Pressburger. I went for A Matter of Life and Death. Um, in another world, the Red Shoes definitely would have popped up on here. Very high on the list, but I had seen it before. Very well documented fan of that film, but I had never seen A Matter of Life and Death. Their sort of exploration of a sort of romantic look at British soldiers and the sort of gallantry, chivalrous World War II fighter aviator pilot who was played by, oh, can you remind me, Alex?
David Niven.
David Niven, who's like, I love David Niven in anything that he's in. He is like the ultimate, pencil mustached British gentleman. And it's a journey of him not surviving a plane crash when he was dogfighting in the skies of World War II. And he was heaven exists in this film, heaven and hell and purgatory.
Though
Uh,
they don't call it heaven. They don't
yes,
refer to it as heaven, I believe. So like an afterlife, isn't it?
yeah. So there is this afterlife in the sky where people, a lot of it's almost like a waiting room. Think about like if you've seen Beetlejuice, but like in a in a more elegant, well realized way, where there's like a waiting room and there's a processing that happens, and people exist in this further world afterwards. And David Niven, he was for some reason. They forgot to pick up his soul and take it to the afterlife, and he is stuck in a purgatory state of existing in Britain still.
Yeah, the
Um,
real world.
in the real world, whilst they are still adjudicating up in the afterlife whether he should come, um, pass away and come over like he was supposed to, or now that he's met a young woman and kind of had a second lease in life, now that he is back on Earth, whether he should remain there and still get to have another chance. So it's a great classic, super elegant, massive set, like really cool sets. That big staircase that I feel like even if you've never seen
Mm.
A Matter of Life and Death before, you'll know that staircase, and it's like one of the most famous sets ever made. And yeah, and it's just gorgeous. It's like yeah, I'm sure you probably have this somewhere on the list, Alex.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to jump in and say it's my number four, so we might as well just kind of like
Yeah,
skip so I
yeah,
can
of
talk about
course,
it as
yeah.
well. Yeah, absolutely fascinating film. I had seen the Michael Powell film Peeping Tom prior to this, but I wasn't like really that aware of Powell and Pressburger, and I'm still surprised that I wasn't prior to this list. Like
Mm,
I'm a little bit ashamed of myself, but also I think they should be taught about more. I don't remember. I mean, potentially it was part of the syllabus somewhere, maybe not in not maybe not in some of the kind of areas that I took in my route on my film degree. But yeah, I'm surprised I didn't come across Powell and Pressburger because yeah, this is the first of two films on my list.
oh,
So
wow.
spoilers ahead. But yeah, I thought this one was absolutely fascinating. The way that we're in 1946 and it feels like a country trying to deal with the amount of loss and death and grief and change and trying to portray that in a way that is quite mature and I'm trying to think of the right words for this. It's just very
Mhm.
well done. It's very well done in a way that it's trying to kind of like almost give a sense of ending in a positive light to a nation essentially. But on top of the kind of political and social things that are going on here, filmmaking wise, incredible.
Yeah.
Like you say, like the big sets, these kind of fascinating camera angles, the use of color, everything is gorgeously done. The story is interesting. And yeah, I was swept away with a matter of life and death. And I almost feel like there were shots of it where I was like, I feel like I've seen this somewhere. So like it's clearly had its touches throughout, the cinematic
Oh, I think
worlds
it's
that
even being
I've
referenced in The Simpsons, I think. Yeah.
exactly. So, I'm tangentially aware of this film prior to watching it a few years ago. But yeah, I was absolutely blown away by this and blown away by another film of Powell and Pressburgers as well.
Mhm.
Which I'm sure if anybody has been listening to the
I have a
podcast,
feeling what it is, yeah.
yeah, I've spoken about it a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, love it. Matter of Life and Death is fantastic. So I guess it kind of skips you over to your number four now as well.
Yeah, no, that's fine. My number 4 is, a 3-hour, 57-minute long Taiwanese epic, from Edward Yang, and that is, A Brighter Summer Day. A Brighter Summer Day, the title is like a reference to, Elvis Presley's 1960 song, "Are You Lonesome Tonight?" Um The music's a really big part of this movie, right? I feel like some of the moments that really stuck with me are the musical moments. Probably, probably my favorite young character from like any movie on this list. He was Cat. Yeah, what a young actor called Won Chi San. He plays Cat. He's like a sort of tertiary character who pops up from time to time and has a beautiful, like high pitched, almost like a female singing voice, and he
Yeah,
sings Elvis
very
Presley
high
songs.
pitched. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really cool, and it's an epic about, a transition, again, another political transition in a country, and young people who are growing up in the aftermath of this sort of, this sort of civil war environment. And you think of this film, and it's nearly 4 hours long. And I can't even remember a single adult in this movie. It feels like a film that's dominated by kids who are
Mm,
trying to like posture themselves in an adult world and make themselves as adult as possible. We got local gangs, we have horrific things happen, we see characters evolve in the world that they're kind of stuck in. And in the middle of it, there's sort of Hollywood-esque leanings that this movie has of love and youthful tragedy, and it is a tragic
and the
movie.
gangs as well, like, the gangs
The
follow a
gangs.
kind of, like, old school American, like, '60s kinda thing where but it's almost like the kids are almost playing, like, dress up, but there's very real world consequences to
It's
this.
fascinating seeing, like, an American landscape, like, seep into this environment, and, like, you're
Mm,
right, they're listening to American music on jukeboxes,
mm,
they're cosplaying as greasers half the time. And, it's great, and it's so tragic. I mean, it's semi-based on a true event that happened. Um, I don't wanna spoil that for people who haven't seen the movie, because that when that event transpires at the end of the movie, it is
mm,
shocking, and it comes out of
yeah.
nowhere, and nothing kind of prepares you for it. But I went out of my way to buy this movie, and it was one of the only
Same.
movies on the list I did that for, because I have to own this. It's so amazing. It's so poignant. I want to share it with Lauren at any chance we have a 4 hours together where we both feel like we want to watch this. It's beautiful, and I even think of that motif of Are You Lonesome Tonight? The song
Mm.
of cats singing that on stage in this local little flooding bar that they sing at, and it's yeah, it's super evocative. And out of the two Edward Yang films, I know like Yi gets a lot of love, but this one just really hit that Americana pseudo um loningness that I really love and love out of cinema. So yeah, I love this movie.
Absolutely, and, I do as well, which is why it's actually my number 3,
Oh,
so
isn't it nice when that happens?
I could talk about this as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was something here so my background is my dad was in the military, and I lived on a British military camp in Germany for 8 years, and a lot of this film takes place in a military camp in Taiwan, where the kids are all kind of pad brats as well, and, although that's kind of where the similarities end. Like, obviously, a very kind of different time, place, conflict, everything else going on there is completely different there. But there was this feeling that I got from it that kind of took me back to my childhood in a way that I still can't fully put my finger on what it was in this film. But there was just like this energy or I don't know, like you say, like melancholy, something going on there. And yeah, and we had watched Yi, one of Edward Yang's later films, but is actually lower on the list.
Hmm.
So we'd watched that first, and I liked Yi, but I didn't fully connect with it. So I went into this one, this film that's nearly 4 hours long, going, "Oh my god, this is gonna be homework." And then I think within the first 10 minutes, I was like, "This is different. This is something completely different. It feels novelistic. It feels
Yes.
sweeping and all these kind of different elements working together to create this kind of narrative of connections
Which
and
is satisfying
hopelessness
at the
and
end, yeah.
love and yeah, just so much going on. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I went out and bought this, and although I have not watched my Blu-ray version of it, my Criterion Blu-ray version of
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
yet, I like you say, it's waiting for that time to watch a 4 hour film. But yeah, just completely bowled over by this one.
Fascinating what you say, like, your sort of connection to, like, living sort of having an experience in your youth that kind of reminded you of this.
Mm,
And I think that's kind of like whenever you cast kids in a film, I guess, or make a film about kids, there's a universality to how kids behave regardless of their scenario or the countries. Kids are kids, and
yep,
they mimic, and they make bad decisions, they make wrong decisions, and it's a film all about that, really, and see
yeah.
how they deal with consequences of like their parental figures. And that's like, how can you not relate to that at some level? So regardless of, and Yi is different because Yi is like, you're dealing with a Chinese family's like their dynamics that are very rooted in that society, in terms of like monogamy and societal rules there. So obviously you're kind of like a little bit more at an arm's length to that situation emotionally. But this one, it's just like you're right. It's epic. It's satisfying, and you can't stop thinking about it. Hence why we both have it
Absolutely
here.
not.
Yeah.
I know, I look at my Blu-ray every now and then. I'm like, I need to put that
And
on.
even
When
even that poster of
mm,
the schoolgirl's clothes on the
oh
bed is just like, oh, I mean, like if you've seen the movie, that kind of that evokes something in itself. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, fascinating.
yeah. I guess that brings me to my number two, or
Oh,
wait, no,
I
you're
think
number
we're
three. Sorry,
my number
you're
3.
you're number three first. I jumped ahead.
That's all right. Okay, so I'm going completely different this time.
Hmm.
Something that this is like the most likely film that I'm going to pop on and have a really good time with, and that is Billy Wilder's The Apartment. It was my first time watching it.
I forgot this
Yeah,
was your
right.
first time watching it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice.
We're big Billy Wilder fans. We both love
Mm.
Sunset Boulevard. Something
Okay.
Like It Hot is on the list too. Not my first time watching that, but still wouldn't have made the list.
Hmm.
I think The Apartment is kind of like a perfect 1960s American film. Like if a snapshot of that era of cinema, it's it doesn't get much better than that, and it's all the things I really like out of Billy Wilder's film: the snappy, well written dialogue, the humor, the density of what's just kind of going on. Jack Lemmon, who rents out his bachelor pad for all of his co-workers who are having affairs. He procures the drinks that they like. He has regulars, and he basically in the hopes that he's going to go up the work ladder, and ascend into higher paying role and higher notoriety within the business. And then you enter Shirley MacLaine, who's absolutely iconic, charming elevator operator who works in Lemon's building, and she's the mistress to his married boss that he then Jack Lemmon falls in love with, and it's this sort of like comedy of errors. But Jack Lemmon is so fun. Like he's Chaplin-esque in his performance. So tight in his performance, but the movie's so beautiful and like lyrical, and it's you're having kind of a fun romp throughout it. And then enter McLean running down the street in a snowy in a snowy New York City at the end of the film, and you're just like, wow, this is almost like a Christmas movie in the way that this wraps up. It's wonderful, and I can't wait to rewatch it again because there's so much going on that you're like, oh, I need to like watch this 10 times so I can absorb every gag and every lovely little treat that this movie has. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it just works so well even today. Like
Hmm.
universally, there are some films from kind of 1980s backwards where the comedy just doesn't work nowadays. But like I found myself just laughing so much at this film. It still holds up so well in the comedy department, and it's so much fun. And
And the
yeah, I
filmmaking's amazing too. Yeah.
filmmaking is amazing. So when we watched this for the podcast series, it was my second time watching it, so I couldn't include it on my list. And I remember my first time watching it, I liked it, but I didn't love it. But this second time just had a completely different effect on me, and I was completely just yeah. I keep saying I was bowled over by things, but I was bowled over again
Mhm.
by The Apartment. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, big Billy
It
Wilder fan.
it's a movie of, like, spinning plates, isn't it? I guess the first time you
Yeah,
watch it is, like, you're just trying to keep up with the spinning plates and all the dynamics and all that all, like, how much more complicated this guy's life gets,
yeah.
which adds to the humor, which adds to the tragedy, but, yeah, it's dizzying. It's dizzying but fun. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, on to my number two, which is the 1966 film The Battle of Algiers, directed by Gilo Pontecorvo. Uh, it is a we have spoken a lot about kind of like the way that like documentary and film have kind of fused together in a lot of these films. And although this is not a documentary at all, it's almost shot to feel like one in the way that many audiences thought they were watching a documentary when it first came out. So it is about the war in Algeria. I say a war; it was a French-occupied African country, and the kind of Algerian Front de the Liberation Nationale, who were the group kind of opposing this occupation. And the film just kind of plays out the events. It does. It doesn't essentially follow any kind of like main characters in particular, though you do spend a lot of time with the leader of that kind of Algerian front, as well as the paratrooper commando who comes in as part of the kind of French resistance to the kind of efforts that are going on there to kind of get France out. And both sides, it doesn't fully do like a both sides a bad thing at all, but it does not shy away from kind of showing the violence that is inflicted by both sides, though it does seem to feel like it kind of sides more with the occupied country, which makes sense.
Mhm.
And I think as well, as we've been recording this series over the last few years, the political climate of our own world has been upturned with many different kind of conflicts going on, genocides, whatnot. That it was really interesting to see this film made in 1966 about a battle that happened prior to that again, and seeing the kind of similarities that are playing out time and time again in each of these kind of conflicts in a way that's really sad uh, and interesting, and it made me feel like this film should be watched by so many. And I was just kind of taken aback by it, by the way that it kind of was shot, by the way it was portrayed, in a way that I just don't think a film would be able to do today.
It
Um,
feels like it's a documentary that just happens to have characters and a narrative going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it was just incredible. Like honestly, every single scene in this, I was just watching there with my mouth agape, and I wasn't sure what to expect
Yeah.
from this film going into it. And I think I remember watching it on the projector as well, which did add a
Mm.
certain je ne sais quoi to the
And
whole thing.
it feels like a very lo-fi feel into the film too. Yeah.
100%, 100%, because it's just playing out essentially the kind of conflict that's going on. And yeah, you can't get away from the fact that this film looks like you're watching real war footage
Mhm.
play out in real time. And yeah, I I've not seen a film quite like it, and I've not seen a film quite like it truly confront the horrors of war, of violence, of conflict in such a way. And I think about this film all the time.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny, we watched obviously One Battle After Another, which has a massive kind of
I was gonna say,
nod,
yeah,
nod.
DiCaprio's just chilling out watching it on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those kind of cool to arms, or cool to revolution films that inspires him in that moment. And yeah, it's
It's
very
referenced a
kind of
lot.
timely.
It's like
It's
it's quite
referenced a
interesting.
lot.
Like I think that's quite rewarding for us when we watched it because I think of because Ennio Morricone co-wrote the score for this film,
Oh
and like
yeah, beautiful score as
yeah,
well.
I
Yeah, yeah.
think that opening scene with the piano, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, which sticks with you the whole way, and it's kind of
Mhm,
propels
mhm.
the urgency, and it's like we even see that music even pops up in Tarantino's Inglorious Bastards,
Yeah,
which is interesting because that's a movie about people hiding in plain sight, and yeah,
yeah,
so it influenced. It's quite cool to thread the needle there or connect the dots and see movies that we like today that are still influenced by this, but it's a really cool, totemic,
yeah.
stylish, and scary movie. So yeah,
Yeah, and also like incredibly kind of depressing in a way that it's just like, oh, we're still doing this. We haven't been able to get out of this cycle of occupation and violence, and that is shocking in its way.
it
And I
never
think
never goes well.
no, it never goes well. And I think, Chris, if I was to win our box office draft when we return to that next year, and I was
Yeah.
to claim the prize of a Blu-ray of my choice, I think this might be the one.
Oh, damn, I already got your Christmas present.
Well, that won't be till early Feb, so don't worry about
Okay, okay. I got
it.
ideas. Alex, that's
Just have my Christmas present. That's a serious conversation we need to have. You got me a Christmas present?
um maybe.
Ah, shit.
No, you don't have. You don't have
I need
to.
to have a look. I
It's
need to
just a
catch
token.
up.
It's just a token.
I've not bought any Christmas presents yet. I need to get on
You
it.
haven't done any?
No,
Time's a ticking.
time is a ticking. Yeah, I do need to get on that. I've been busy.
Yeah, you have been. I've done it. I just need to wrap it. That's all I gotta do. Right.
Nice. All right,
Um,
you're number 2.
my number 2. My number 2. You've talked about this already. We talked about it at a pretty great length. But it is my number 2, and it is Sunrise: A Song of Two Humans. There was always going to be a silent film on this list. It was a Keaton, was it Chaplin? But I went with this one because from the outset, it felt like another one of the films that we had watched like the last 20 films before that, where it was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a little bit of a time capsule
Mm,
document, but I wasn't expecting the flood of just being like bowled over, like you said, your famous
yeah.
words tonight. But I'm stealing your phrase, but yeah, for reasons I said before, I could storyboard this film after watching it once from start to finish, and I remember every single thing that happens. Um, stylistically, emotionally, there's different ways you can watch this movie, right? There's different scores that have been done for it throughout the years
Mm,
that people have experimented with. The version that I watched had a really over the top orchestral flooding of emotion whenever you watch these two people lovers come together, especially towards the end, where I'm like, yeah, I guess this guy is a piece of shit, but like, I like these guys still. Like, it feels
yeah.
it,
Strip my own
strip
morals
my own
away
morals.
from it. This
Yeah,
is a lovely love story.
yeah, you got to like, and it's this movie is like the only film I can kind of think of that is kind of gothic German expressionism um meets Hollywood in a silent era. Like they both meet
Yeah, yeah,
hands
yeah.
here, in a way that almost feels like it doesn't belong to any country. When you watch this film, you
Mm,
don't feel like it's overtly American. You don't feel like it's overtly European. It's kind of transatlantic in that way, which is
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. And it just feels like a really epic fairy tale. But one that you just can't like. Lauren was watching it agape with me the whole time, and it became like one of her favorite movies of all time. Yeah, just like that. Ah! I started puking on the spot. I can't believe they did this. Um, no, but she's like, oh my god, like that's one of the best things I've ever watched. And I was like, oh man, I struggle to disagree with you because
Mm.
it might be my favorite silent film I've ever experienced. Yeah, I'm not because I don't hear about it in conversation that much. I don't know, I've never heard
No,
no one's
that's true.
talked to me about this movie.
I had not heard of this film prior to this list.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, amazing, right? And for it to be so high up on the list,
This
and
feels
to
like a
not
teacher would
not
have told you like, "Oh, have you ever watched Sunrise?" And you're like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And I never
yeah,
even had that conversation. Yeah.
yeah, like every technique you know today originated here.
Pretty
There's a
much.
lot of stuff in there, isn't there? Yeah. Obviously, we have spoken at length, so I won't add
No,
too much
no,
and repeat myself. But yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
love it, yeah. Alex, let's go. What's your
The big number one,
the
the big
big
number
one?
one. I wonder if I could guess your number one. I feel like I could. Could you?
I think
Could
you
you guess
could.
mine?
Could I guess your number 1? I actually feel like I'm a little bit more struggling with that. I feel like
Oh, I feel
yeah.
like I've alluded in this episode.
Oh, no, no, right, no, I got it. I was just being a dumbass there. Yes, yes, I think we are taking another trip back to the British Isles, aren't we?
We are indeed, and I won't obviously go on too much about this film because I think we've had 2 episodes dedicated to this film because I went to go see it in the cinema for a second time during these 3 years on a 35mm print at the Watershed. Very, very
Ooh.
nice. The film is The Red Shoes, directed by Emmerich Pressburger and Michael Powell. Powell and Pressburger once again, and this film truly blew me away. It felt like an old school kind of Scorsese epic
He
musical.
owns the
So
shoes.
much going on. I'm gonna reiterate the same point I make every time again. This feels like the 1940s version of Showgirls. The way, the way it kind of like brings in this idea of this ballet troupe, and I don't know what a ballet troupe looks like and feels like, and how stories are created and all this kind of stuff. But like, I'm in this world. It's Shakespearean. I love it. Everything. It's so beautiful to watch.
A great, like
The
a great villain, like one of the all-time villains.
An
Yeah,
all-time great villain. Just yeah, the musical elements, that kind of 15-minute kind of ballet element that kind of punctuates the end of the second act, I believe,
yeah.
that kind of plays out the show, but also the internal themes as well. Yeah, I could put this film on again and again and again and again and just fall in love with it every single time. The Red Shoes is honestly, I think this would make my top 10 list without Blind Spots. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Whether it would be number one, I don't know, but it's up there now for me. That honestly, I love Blind
I
Spots.
I think, the greatest looking movie ever made?
Potentially, yeah, the
Yeah.
greatest red has ever looked on film, right?
It's yeah, it's all you think about is that piercing Technicolor. With any
Mm,
Paul and Pressburger movie, it's kind of like it's a staple of what their visual style was. But this film, it just like, especially during that dance sequence, is just like you're throwing the book at this film. Really, like any cinematic technique that was available or in their in their brains, they just threw it on the screen, and it's incredible to watch. And it's very evocative, poignant. It's over the top. Um, with its like I said, the villain is great. There's a great sequence of a mirror where he punches a mirror, which I think he punches it right, which is incredible. It's like straight out of a Disney movie. Um,
yes, yeah.
yeah, it's funny that you say Scorsese because he literally does own the shoes.
He does own the shoe. He owns the Red Shoes.
Yeah. I don't know what to add to that, Alex, apart from, like, I just love it's harder when you love a movie so much where you can't critique it or pick it
Mhm.
apart because it's just so rich, like, in every visually and story-wise,
Mm,
and I really like its insight into the ballet world, that this sort of world where it feels like the whole world's coming around you, like, oh, it's the only thing that
mm.
matters. It's such an intense sport or art, whatever you wanna call
Yeah,
it, where this young woman or every young woman is just trying to appeal to their choreographer or to try to get into everybody's good books. It's a real like status symbol thing. Like if I don't
yeah,
dance well today, well, I could lose my whole career. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's about art and sacrifice and what we're willing to do, and then can we sacrifice art for love further down the line, and how those things don't like in
mm,
this world don't work together.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's great, and obviously it follows not just the dancer but one of the musicians as well, and how that plays out. So yeah, you've got like these multiple different storylines going on, and different character decisions and sleaziness and all that kind of stuff playing out, and obviously your director of the company who is, like you say, he is a great villain, but he's just fascinating to watch. Like
mm,
I would just want to, I a villain you beg to come back on the screen every time just because he's just so great to just kind of watch, and his accent and his voice just like permeating through the screen,
yeah.
just brilliant.
Oh, you make me want to watch the Red Shoes right now. To be fair.
I could watch the Red Shoes right now. I don't think it was last Christmas. I think it was the Christmas before where they had it playing in the watershed.
Mm,
Yeah, getting to see it projected like that was great. Um, and yeah, it's just great. And I want to watch more Powell and Pressburger's films, and I've been kind of putting it off because I feel like it would make for some good episodes here, like to do the life and death of Colonel Blimp, Black Narcissus, all those kind of big ones that I wasn't aware of prior to the list, but now very aware of. I think we should be jumping on those and
mm.
exploring them.
Awesome. Awesome. I think it's amazing. Yeah, I want to do the Black Narcissus is like a big one for me that I think we'll
Mm.
both really enjoy. We love
Have you seen the life and death of Colonel Blimp or
I
no?
haven't seen it either. No. So,
No, no. Cool.
yeah, I have some catching up to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's my number one. You tell me your number one, and I'll tell you if I guessed it correctly.
Why
And
don't
I'll be
why
honest.
don't you just guess it?
Okay, is it The Night of the Hunter?
It is indeed The Night of the Hunter. Yes, and I have went back to rewatch the film several times too. And
Have you now?
yeah, and
Nice.
to the point that it's sitting in my letterbox top 4 for the last year. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, I guess out of doing this 3-year journey, I find one of my favorite films of all time. Um, Robert Mitchum, who I'm always been a big fan of, he looms over like the darkest shadow you've ever known over this film as probably the ultimate, like my favorite cinematic villain of all time. He's so fascinating because he is so overtly masculine in terms of like being that scary masculinity. That's sort of like this guy is
Mhm.
dangerous, but he could also be really charming, and that's this
Mm.
film utilizes him as an actor to the best way, where he is literally embodying both of those things. And this is also a fatalistic film set in, like a Depression era America. And it follows two very young children, John and Pearl, whose dad has just came home after a bank robbery kind of gone wrong, and tells them to hide the money and bury it. And then we skip time over. He's in prison, and Robert Mitchum is in prison with him too. And he tells Robert Mitchum that he's got this money stowed away somewhere, and the cops never found me. Blah blah blah. So Robert Mitchum just gets released from prison. He hunts down the children's family home, and impersonates a reverend of God and he has his tattoos on both hands that say love and hate, and he woos over the village. And John and Pearl, John, the only wise soul in the whole village, is on to Robert and knows that he's up to no good, and to the point that he is willing to fall in love and marry their mother, Willa, take over her naivete, kill her, and is even willing to kill the children to get his hands on this
Yeah.
money. Um, what a piece of shit. But this movie
Yeah,
is
yeah.
great. It's like, it is, we've seen a lot of plays kind of turn into films, and they always feel like plays. But this is like, I feel like I'm watching, like, this is like a play and cinema meeting at its most ultimate form, and it's incredible performances throughout. It's really sad and dark for an American Hollywood film of
Mm.
its time. The
Like
only
some shocking death scenes. If I remember right, there's like a underwater
Yeah.
shot of the drowned wife, right? And it's like so horrific, but like beautifully shot. And there's
Yeah,
such a strange juxtaposition.
yeah, one of my favorite cinematic shots, to be honest. It's yeah, her in the car underwater in the lake with her hair cascading upwards, in this sort of petrified state. And the drunk fisherman, later on, he discovers her body, and we get a shot through the water where you can see it from a bird's eye point of view, which is like really startling too. And yeah, this film is like, it has that sort of thing that like Hitchcock Psycho has going on, where it's not afraid to kind of really get under your skin and like do some really nasty things to the characters. Um, but it's also like a Huckleberry Finn sort of thing, where the children escape and they go on a raft, and they go down the country to escape him, and then they can't escape him. He's like this looming larger than life caricaturish villain that even whenever they hide in a barn at nighttime, you can hear him. There's a motif of the song "Leaning on the Everlasting Arms,"
Yes,
where
yes.
it's like a siren every time that Robert Mitchum peers his ugly head out of the distance. You hear him singing, "Leaning, leaning, leaning on the." He's it's really unsettling and creepy, and then you enter Lillian Gish, who is like probably the most famous silent film actress of all time, who plays this old, like, maternal woman who takes in orphan children, and then they have a battle of the wits and battle of spirituality. And like, I'm not a Christian myself, but this is a very deeply has deep roots into in American Christianity,
Mm.
and how it affects characters, and it has a moral compass to this movie. Um, Powerful stuff. Makes me tear up at the end every time whenever John and Pearl overcome this horrible affair. Robert Mitchum's locked away, and he gives her a Christmas bauble that he can't afford. He takes a bauble off the tree, he wraps it up as a gift, and gives it to Lillian Gish at the end of the movie. And it's great. There's such great lines. There's loads of motifs of like animals being harmed and hunted
Yeah.
down in the movie. And there's this, Lillian says, it's a cruel world for small things. And that's kind of like the line that sticks with me for this film. And we need people to be nice and look after each other and fight the evils of this world. It's a good versus evil sort of film. And the movie was directed by Charles Lawton, very famous character actor. The only film he ever made. He was a one and done with this movie. And it's incredible. It feels like somebody who's 30 years into one of the greatest cinematic careers. And he just came out of the bat to this movie, and it didn't get its flowers until like 20 years ago. Uh,
Mm.
was a bit of a cult movie, and I love it to bits. I can't wait to watch it again. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't wanna add too much because I know that I don't fully remember why, but I wasn't as blown away by it as you were, and I feel like I really want to rewatch it, especially after hearing you speak so highly of it there as well, and it making your number one on the
Mm.
list. There was a part of me that was worried it was going to be Celine and Julie go boating for a minute. Uh,
I know, the first 10 minutes maybe, but yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, Night of the Hunter. I remember having a good time with it, but just not really being affected in the way that you were. And did we watch this film maybe this time last year? Maybe I'd had my busy work week.
A year ago seems like, yeah, because I brought it over to
Yeah,
my parents' house, last Christmas, and we watched it together. My dad finished, he's like, "Fucking hell, that was dark." Yeah, so I was like, "Yeah, it's surprising. It's disarming that a Hollywood movie in the '40s, that production and those actors could be that
yeah,
dark." Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, I I don't remember why I didn't like it as much as you did. I'd maybe have to go back and listen to that episode. But Chris, I mean, you love rewatching it. Maybe we should watch it together sometime, and you can talk me through
And the red
it.
shoes, because I think that's just
Look
like,
at that.
yeah, oh, it's great. If I had never watched the red shoes, 100% would have been on this list in the top 5.
Oh
Top
yeah,
3,
right.
easy. Yeah, so I'm not surprised at all you picked that, because it's just an incredible movie. I must watch for anybody who even has even like 10 films in their life. Like, even if your favorite
Yeah,
film is like Chamber of Secrets, you need to watch Red Shoes. It's
it's an
incredible.
interesting,
I'm just saying,
it's
well,
an interesting choice.
Harry Potter. If your favorite film is a Harry Potter movie, I'm saying you haven't maybe watched many films. It's like the first thing, it's the first thing I could think of.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Chris, that kind of wraps up our series, which it feels like this feels big. This feels
Time
big.
to say
Say
goodbye.
goodbye. Da-da-da.
Yeah, it was a journey.
Ba-da-da-da.
Go on, do the next bit.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay. Yeah, we should never sing. It's always a bad idea. It's always yeah, no, that was really I don't know, for you, that was really cathartic, and really, really solidified my feelings towards these films. And I feel like I've taken on your list too, like, personally. I feel like
Mm,
your emotion, your passion
vice
for these
versa.
films, it feels like we've got a really good conjoined top 20 here, or top 15, whatever it
100%.
ended up being. But yeah, I think you talked a good game.
Vice versa, absolutely. Yeah, big fan. Big fan of all these films. A big fan of a lot of the films we watched. There weren't many which I hated.
Yeah.
Um, so I absolutely love doing this list with you, Chris. I'm glad you made an offhanded comment about watching this series, and I said, "Oh yeah, we should do that for the podcast." And you were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then 3 years later, yeah,
And I forgot the fact that it was my idea as well. I thought it was your idea.
that's how long it's been. I've compiled. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're interested in kind of finding out how we started this series, I've compiled a playlist on YouTube of every episode of the show where we include one of these films from the Blind Spot series of the greatest films of all time. I can tell you right now how many episodes we ended up doing just on this alone.
Because at the
So
start, we were
include
kind of like grouping movies together, and then we decided, like, we're just going to do one. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a couple at a time. So including this episode, we'll have had 65 episodes where we discussed our greatest, well, not our, but the Sight and Sound greatest films of all time list, and our blind spots on it. So definitely worth kind of revisiting the archives, as they say, to if you're interested in kind of hearing us from the start there. So yeah, go onto YouTube for that one. If not, I don't know, just see what's on YouTube, and then like search it on Spotify. You'll find it that way as well.
Yeah.
If you're trying to figure it out on Apple. Yeah. Anyway,
And, like, can you
we
take what's the main lesson you could take away from this? Um, like,
to never be ignorant to kind of any side of cinema, and you know to force yourself to step out of your comfort zone and watch these films because they're absolute diamonds in places you wouldn't have even thought to look.
yeah, I can put it better myself. Really, put your phone away. um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just think, like, the time it takes to watch one of these little masterpieces, you probably went on your reels on your phone
Yeah.
today, and the same. in the same view. But it's incredible. Like I said, I got one of my new favorite films of all time came from this list, and some of them are brushing up against that, and we now own some physical media because of we went on
Yeah.
this journey. So it's really cool. Great launching platform for the rest of the podcast. Now we have to decide over the course of Christmas and New Year what the hell we're going to do with ourselves. Um,
Yeah.
have some
And
sort of new vocation to kind of go for. But we're going to come back with more small series, more curated series.
nothing that takes 3 years.
Yeah. Something that's tangibly like achievable. Yeah.
Yeah. And on a final note as well, I would like to say a lot of these films we had to find on streaming services or rent them. The BFI player obviously being a big place where all of
Mm,
these films can be found. I don't know if there was one film on this list that is on Netflix or we watched on Netflix,
that's true.
and I think that's a fucking travesty. You know,
Yeah,
I am appalled always at the lack of kind of classic films on Netflix.
yeah.
I just want to leave it there.
Well, like I completely agree. I completely agree. Some it's worth noting that some of the basic Prime package also had some of these films nestled in there
Yeah.
too, so worth seeking out. Some older ones like Sunrise, I believe, because that's now a public domain film. You can actually just watch that via Wikipedia if you wanted to.
There were a few films we just watched on YouTube, I think, weren't they?
Yeah,
They're in the public domain.
yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a good like 70 to 80% of this that if you just have like a basic subscription package, you can probably just find very easily. There are a couple of ones that where you had to hunt a little bit more for. Histoire de
Yeah.
Cinema, Alex, on
Yeah,
your account,
had to go to Oxfam.
yeah, you had to spend some hard-earned dough there. But no, it's definitely worth doing. Yeah, go parse through the episodes. Tell us what you think of some of these films. If you think we got it wrong or got it right, we're trying to we tried our best to navigate it and start. Sometimes we were in the mood for these films. Sometimes we just had to push through. But yeah, so there'll be a lot of them I can't wait to revisit too. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, great list, Alex.
And on a final note, this is our final episode of the year. We will be back in 2026, very early 2026, with our review of the year. So our top 10 films of
Yeah,
2025. All depends on when we shoot that and we edit that, but we're going to get that to you as fast as we can in the new year. So look forward to that. But it's been a great year. Happy to explore the cinematic landscape by your side once again, Chris.
oh, that's so sweet of you to say. Yeah, I mean, like we'll just do it again, right? Same time next year. But we're always, like structure. We're always revisiting, always trying to improve the podcast. So please stay tuned because we really do try not to keep it stale. And
Mhm.
now that this list is over, we got some ideas. Well, we're gonna have some ideas. We're gonna put our heads together. Not change the show too much, but like we're always trying to improve it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, we're self aware. Don't worry.
100%. And we've improved throughout the year as well. So thank you everybody who's kind of joined the journey as we've got along. To be a little bit open with you all, we've had the best kind of statistics of the 3 to 4 years
Yeah.
we've been doing this show. So it's good to know that we're still on the up. So that makes us very happy. So thank you everybody for sticking with us as we do that. Our Spotify Wrapped, there were some pretty cool stats on there, and I might share some of them. But yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
And thank you, Alex, as well, for being
And
so
well,
wonderful.
thank you,
It's really fun doing
thank
it.
you, Chris.
It's always a nice part of my week.
Absolutely, I love it. I love it.
Okay. Well, should we do the final outro for the final
Yep,
episode of the BFI?
let's do it. That has been our episode for this week. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or review. We do really appreciate it. And if you'd like to keep up to date with us, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
Be sure to catch us next time for more cinematic discussions. Goodbye. See you later, Alex.
Goodbye. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes, same to you, and if you meant that to other people, to them as well. Merry Christmas.